Shocking secrets of the Revelation timeline revealed, what they discovered about the end times. Few knew what truly happened that night in the dimly lit chamber where the final words of the prophets echoed. The weight of revelation hung heavy in the air, thick like smoke. It was a night when the veil between the known and the unseen thinned, revealing glimpses of a future steeped in darkness and redemption. In a world where shadows danced in flickering candlelight, one man stood at the precipice of understanding. The ancient scrolls lay sprawled before him, their brittle pages whispering secrets from centuries past. John, the seer, grappled with visions so horrific they twisted his stomach. Beasts rising from the depths, chaos spilling from the skies, and a final battle that would leave no soul untouched. The location was Patmos, a desolate isle surrounded by the relentless sea. It was here, far from civilization, that the world would begin to unravel. Time was marked not by clocks but by the breaths of the prophets. Each moment ticked with expectation. John felt the salty breeze against his face, a reminder of the life outside, yet all he could see were the horrors unraveling in his mind. The importance of his revelations weighed on his heart, as he sensed the urgency of his task. Few could comprehend the magnitude of what was to come. The echoes of a future war were already chilling his bones, yet, contradictions loomed large. How could the divine promise of salvation coexist with visions of despair? Darkness and light grappled in his thoughts, leaving him breathless. Was hope meant to rise from this chaos, or would it be buried in sorrow? Despair clawed at him, but each revelation brought a spark of clarity. Miracles and calamities intertwined, creating a thread of destiny that twisted in his mind. Deep in his heart, John felt an impending question surge within him. Could he unveil these truths, knowing they would incite fear and fascination? The chamber fell silent as his trembling hands hovered over the scroll. What had they discovered about the end times, and were they prepared for what lay ahead? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the cool night air enveloped the island of Patmos, a profound silence settled over John's heart, broken only by the distant sound of the waves crashing upon the rocky shore. The darkness around him felt tangible, almost sentient, as if it were listening, waiting for him to discover more. The flickering flame of his oil lamp cast long shadows that danced on the walls of the chamber, echoes of the conflict brewing in his mind. John leaned closer to the scrolls, the ancient language breathing life into the inky blackness. Words carved by hands long gone began to reveal a deeper rhythm, a lament of creation that resonated with each heartbeat. There was a pulse within the prophecies that transcended mere predictions. It told the story of a world yearning for redemption interspersed with moments of stark truth. He sensed that whomever had penned these warnings had not merely desired to frighten but to beckon souls toward enlightenment. Images surged within him, memories of the Messiah walking among them, healing the wounded, offering hope. How could such grace exist alongside the dreadful visions unfolding before him? Was the tapestry of faith interwoven with despair, deliberately designed to guide those who would confront the darkness? John could hardly fathom it, yet each vision felt like a piece of a puzzle meant to illuminate a greater understanding. Suddenly, a breathless urge encapsulated him. It was not the fear of the coming tribulations that rose within him but a yearning to grasp the divine purpose hidden within the chaos. What if the very act of sharing these revelations could quench the thirst of those lost in their own despair? He pictured the faces of believers, the fervent and the cynical alike, all searching for meaning in their own strife. Would not his visions empower them? If only he could find the key to convey hope, to assure them that even in the darkest hours, light would break through. Lost in contemplation, he was startled by a rustling sound behind him. A figure emerged from the shadows, the young disciple, whose face bore the marks of concern mixed with determination. The tremor in his voice drew John's attention. "Master, you must not burden yourself so heavily. The weight of these secrets is almost too great for one heart to carry. John turned to him, the urgency of the moments pressing against his chest. Do you not sense it, my friend? These revelations encompass not only destruction but also the key to salvation. Can we hold back the truth that perhaps, amid the tribulations, a path to redemption awaits? The disciple's brow furrowed as he pondered John's words. Yet what if those who hear you do not seek guidance but only fear? What if they turn away, overwhelmed by visions of the beast and the end? Silence fell upon them as they both grappled with that unsettling thought. John felt the veracity of it like a stone lodged in his spirit. We cannot control how they will react, he whispered, but we are entrusted with revealing this divine message, revealing the meeting of fear with love. That is our charge. A flicker of understanding sparked in the disciples' eyes, yet doubt lingered like a shadow. And what would become of us, of the faithful, when the wrath descends? John felt the knot tightening in his chest, the weight of unspoken uncertainties binding the two men. He knew that many would falter when faced with such fearsome realities. Yet, amidst it all, he could not shake the persistent whisper of the Spirit in his heart. To reveal the truth was to reveal him. The bridge over the tumultuous waters. As the night deepened, the uncertainty of the future loomed heavier yet brighter, offering glimpses of hope that interspersed with dread. As he gazed upon the scrolls, with visions of destruction and redemption swirling in his mind, he was left searching deeply within himself. In moments of such ambiguity, he pondered, would the truth liberate or bind every soul that heard it? Would they dare to listen when the call to repentance reverberated amidst the gloom? And as darkness circled, could love ever shine brighter within the hearts of those who accepted it? The humid scent of the sea clung to the air as dawn broke over Patmos, casting pink hues across the horizon. John sat in stillness, the weight of the night lingering like an unshakable cloak upon his shoulders. The scrolls lay before him, their mysteries still unfolding, like a delicate flower awaiting the touch of the sun. He felt that a new understanding was near, one that could transcend his solitary struggle and extend its reach beyond the island's shores. Even in his weariness, the thought of disciples, churches, and the lost stirred within him a flicker of anticipation. What was whispered through the shadows during the night now begged to be illuminated by the light of day. Master, the young disciple spoke once more, his tone softer now, what shall we do with all that has been revealed? Will your words pierce through the silence of hearts hardened by despair? John looked at him, searching for an answer that lay not in his mind but in the heart of God. The truth is a sword, my friend, it may wound but can also heal. In the days ahead, some will find solace amid the storm, while others may shrink away from the light. But the truth remains, it stands independent of our understanding or acceptance. As the sun rose higher, allowing the colors of the world to deepen, John felt an urgency to pen the visions that danced like spectral flames in his mind. Each scroll tells not just of the end but of the beginnings that lie dormant in every ending. Perhaps, this revelation hinges not on the fear of judgment but on the promise of renewal, he mused, allowing insight to flow through him like water over stones. The disciple listened intently, his heart beginning to understand the gravity of John's yearning. So you believe there is a redemptive arc in what you have seen, a thread of hope running through the prophecies? Indeed, John replied. For within every vision of chaos, there emerges a voice of restoration. The call to repentance is not merely a demand, it is an invitation to weave oneself into the greater fabric of God's plan. He paused, wrestling with a thought that had haunted him through the night like an elusive shadow. But what about the choice given to humanity? What if they reject this invitation? Concern furrowed the disciple's brow anew. Do you see the weight we now carry? With each revelation, the burden of truth becomes heavier, and if unheeded, it may lead many into despair rather than hope. This conundrum echoed through John's mind. He knew well the paradox of truth, how it could illuminate or blind, liberate or ensnare. Outside, the world was awakening to life, yet in his heart an inner tempest raged, fraught with excitement and apprehension. As he reached for the scrolls, a thought crystallized in his soul. A tree must first endure the storm to bear fruit, he said quietly, reflecting on the resilience inherent in creation. The trials of humanity are thus the tempest from which the sweet fruit of faith shall emerge. Do not fear the storms, dear friend, Let us steady ourselves and embrace the winds as we plant the seeds of the message bestowed upon us. The disciple nodded, yet a flicker of doubt remained in his eyes. Will the seed flourish, Master, or will it be choked by thorns of doubt? In the times of tribulation, how will the faithful discern amidst confusion? What if their faith falters when faced with the realities foretold? John felt the piercing truth behind his disciples' words. The path ahead was shrouded in uncertainty. Amidst the impending revelations, would humanity rise in faith or falter in fear? It was a question that would echo well beyond them, into the hearts of countless souls who yearned for answers. In that moment, as the sun bathed them in warmth, John contemplated the delicate balance between faith and fear, light and darkness. Would the message he was tasked to deliver resonate or repel? And as the dawn's light illuminated the scrolls, he found himself wondering deeply, in the intertwining of tragedy and triumph, could the very act of sharing these revelations ignite flickers of belief in those skeptical and fearful? As morning unfolded its wings across Patmos, John's mind swirled not only with thoughts of hope but also with the shadowy figures of despair that loomed just beyond the horizon of faith. The gentle lapping of waves against the rocky shore was punctuated by the calls of distant seagulls, sounds that felt almost like a reminder of the life and movement happening beyond the confines of his exile. Yet within him, an urgency pulsed to translate the weight of his visions into words that could anchor the hearts of many or send them adrift in confusion. Master, the disciple began anew, curiosity ablaze in his eyes. What does your heart reveal about the visions yet to come? Will they show the path of our purpose, or merely chronicle our downfall? John considered this dearly, aware of the depth lurking in the question. The visions are shaped by the hearts of those who perceive them. They reflect both the promise of light and the peril of darkness. Our role may be to illuminate the path, to distill truth from the chaos. Might it be that our very act of sharing will grant strength to the weak and clarity to the lost? Yet even as he spoke, the heaviness of human frailty settled thickly in the air between them. Consider the early days of our calling, John continued. Did we not face scorn from our own people? Did we not linger in doubt and confusion ourselves? Each step was a mix of faith and faltering, yet, through perseverance, we found grace amidst the storms. With an inward sigh, he turned his gaze back to the scrolls spread before him, the sacred ink shimmering like starlight. Each symbol held potential, carrying messages both foreboding and illuminating. The essence of what is yet to come is not solely shown in the actions of man but in God's enduring love and purpose behind every revelation. Even in the dark premonitions, there exists a glimmer of hope in the promise of eventual healing. The disciple reflected upon these words, his brow furrowing in thought. Yet how? How can we instill that hope within them when the weight of revelation also bears warnings of tribulation? Through stories and the witness of our lives, John replied, stirring as an idea took root. In every trial we endure, we carry with us the legacy of bearing witness to a light that entered our own darkness. That light can guide others too, despite their resolve. The silence stretched, a heavy blanket of contemplation resting above them. John could almost feel the pulse of the world outside, an ebbing tide reflecting the uncertainty of humanity. But what if this light is met not with acceptance, but with fear? What of the hearts that will turn away from truth, abandoning hope in the very shadows they inhabit? In that moment, the urgency of his purpose became stark. John understood that he was not merely to record the revelations, he was to embody them. To live in the light even when darkness threatened to engulf him. We must infuse our message with the grace we seek, he reminded the young disciple. Only then can love outweigh despair, and perhaps, with each small act of kindness, we will inspire flickers of belief amid the overwhelming darkness. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, a gentle breeze caressed their faces, a promise carried on the wind. In that soft embrace, John felt more than the empirical world. He sensed the spiritual tapestry woven by billions of souls, entwined in joy and suffering. As he took a breath filled with the scent of salt and sage, a question unfurled in his heart: could our followers rise to witness that their paths, marred by confusion and doubt, can lead to extraordinary faith if only they dare to embrace the full tapestry of truth? As the morning matured, the heat of the sun pressed down with an urgency that mirrored John's internal wrestling. His thoughts danced between memories of laughter shared with fellow disciples and the looming shadows of his visions. Each experience was a piece of the mosaic forming a greater picture, one that both illuminated and obscured the very essence of faith. The disciple, still caught in reverie, finally spoke again, his voice tinged with concern. "John, you spoke of love that persists even in the face of despair. But what of the evil we witness, the suffering that feels endless? Why does it seem that darkness sometimes overpowers the light? How can hope thrive when the world is so frail?" John found himself reflecting on the profound weight of this inquiry. He knew from experience that the human heart grappled with such contradictions. "My dear friend, the struggle you describe is as ancient as time itself. The presence of evil does not negate the existence of hope, rather, it forces us to choose, to grapple with the depths of our conviction. Look to the history we have witnessed. Even in the face of insurmountable odds, there were those who illuminated the darkness with unwavering faith, but how did they find that faith?" The disciple pressed, his eagerness mingling with disbelief. With a gentle smile, John shared, "They believed in the unseen. It is in our very doubt that we seek answers and thus draw ever closer to God. As we align our hearts with His truth, the darkness recedes. Our actions, however small, hold the potential to ripple through the lives of many. Do you recall the feeding of the multitudes? With but a few loaves and fish, a great miracle unfolded, demonstrating that abundance can arise from scarcity." The disciple nodded slowly but remained unconvinced, tugging at the edges of his tunic. "Yet those moments seem rare, almost mythical. What of the mundane pain we face daily? Where is the light when despair echoes through the streets, when hunger goes unquenched, and when loved ones are lost?" Understanding the weight of his words, John leaned in, a quiet seriousness taking over. "That is precisely where our responsibility lies, to cultivate the seeds of hope in the soil of everyday life. It requires courage and intentionality. To see the beauty in the simplicity of a smile shared with a stranger, the comfort of a hand held during grief. Our revelations, friend, must lead us to act. They should inspire us to be beacons amidst this decay. As he spoke, the realization struck John that these ideas were not just lofty concepts but a blueprint for living amidst chaos. The air seemed to thrum with unfulfilled potential, calling out for clarity amidst confusion. "And perhaps," he ventured, his voice imbued with newfound inspiration, "it is in our limitations and vulnerabilities that people will truly see the grace of God's love played out in our lives. Might it be that our imperfections serve as the very channels of light we seek?" The disciple pondered this, his expression softening as he considered the significance of humility in wielding such great truth. "The journey seems transformative, but what if we falter? What if our actions are met with misunderstanding or hostility? Can we withstand the weight of what is to come? And will others see our efforts as a reflection of divine love or merely a human endeavor?" Suddenly, as if in answer, a storm cloud darkened the horizon, casting shadows across the sunlit path they stood upon. John's heart ached at the sight, sensing an urgency bloom within him anew. The tempest, like the challenges they faced, reminded him that uncertainty lingered close behind every revelation. "Storms will come, my friend," he affirmed, "but we are promised that we need not face them alone. In moments of confusion, we must gather in faith together, reminding each other of the truth we hold dear. As the first rumble of thunder echoed in the distance, another question unfurled within John's heart, potent in its simplicity: if we embrace our shared vulnerability in the face of uncertainty, could that very act of unity become our greatest testament to the light we carry? As the wind began to rise, stirring the dust beneath their feet, John felt a weight settle over his spirit. The disciples' questions hung in the air, and the storm clouds appeared eager to unleash their fury. But it was not merely the weather that invoked a sense of urgency in him, it was the realization that they stood on the precipice of something profound, a moment pregnant with divine revelation. "Look around you," he said, desire fueling his words. "Do you see how nature itself reflects the truths we ponder? Just as the storm gathers, revealing its power and potential, so too does our faith, often cloaked in turmoil, prepare us for the outpouring of resurrection and renewal." The disciple gazed at the gathering clouds, initially seeing only danger, yet John sensed the duality of the scene. Within the storm lay both fear and promise. We sometimes interpret suffering as abandonment, but remember, even during our deepest despair, the soil is being enriched for future growth. Just as a seed must break apart to sprout, our trials can lead us to greater strength. A flicker of understanding began to emerge within the disciples' eyes, although shadows of doubt still flickered at the edges. But what of those who endure suffering without the chance of renewal? What if their seed lies in barren ground? John considered this. It is a harrowing truth that not all witness the fruits of their struggles while alive. Yet I believe that even in the harshest trials, the essence of hope can be planted. There is a sacred mystery in how God operates in the world. We see only fragments, but He weaves a tapestry that transcends our limited understanding. At that moment, a crack of lightning illuminated the sky, its brilliance drawing their attention. Like a flash of light amidst the darkness. It is a reminder that hope can spark in an instant, breaking through despair. The moments of clarity may be fleeting, yet they compel us to seek deeper meaning, don't they? The disciple nodded, yet doubt lingered. What if our longing for light itself causes us to miss the lessons wrapped in shadows? How do we reconcile our desires with a reality that is often confusing and painful? A silence enveloped them, suffused with the weight of both inquiry and the encroaching storm. John rested his hand on his friend's shoulder. The embrace of mystery is integral to our faith. Like the thunder that complements lightning, our uncertainties can resonate with power. They allow us to relate to others who suffer, to share in the weight of their burdens, and to offer kindness in exchange for fear. The clouds grew dark and heavy, reflecting the tumult that brewed within their hearts. Yet amidst the foreboding, John noticed something stirring in acceptance. Perhaps, he whispered, the uncomfortable questions forge a path to empathy. When we do not understand, we are invited to walk alongside others, to be the light they cannot see through their storm. With renewed purpose, he concluded, every encounter, every moment of shared suffering has the potential to transform. Our inquiries are not merely personal, they are collective, shaping us all in pursuit of a deeper love. As rain began to fall in heavy sheets, the solidity of the earth beneath them felt different, tenuous yet full of promise. John's heart thrummed with an insistent beat, urging clarity amid uncertainty. With the clouds above heavy with rain and mystery, John turned to his friend, the corners of his mouth lifting in a gentle smile. In our darkest moments, might our very questions be the light that guides our seeking hearts? And as we pursue the depths of understanding, could it be that God is crafting a response, not just for us, but for all who long for true and abiding hope? As the rain poured down, each drop seemed to echo the heartbeat of the earth, the thrum of life that was both nourishing and overwhelming. The disciples huddled together, their faces streaked with droplets that mingled with the dust, creating a mosaic of mud and spirit. Around them, the storm raged, but in that shared space, there existed a profound stillness, a moment of collective contemplation that rose above the chaos. John lifted his gaze to the heavens, where the clouds roiled like the waters before creation itself. Friends, he said, his voice rising above the din, let us not overlook the scars of this tempest. They are a testament to something greater unfolding. Nature, indeed, reflects the divine, and just as the storm brings rain, so too does it reveal a promise, a renewal that emerges from the tumult. One of the disciples, longing for clarity, asked, but what if we are called to endure storms that seem endless? What then can we hold on to if we are not given the gift of understanding? John pondered this, recalling the stories they had heard from the elders, stories of a wandering people lost in their own suffering, yet mysteriously led to a land of promise. They knew despair, did they not? He replied, glancing around at the faces of his companions. They struggled, yet found guidance in their faith. Perhaps it was their faith that, like the rains, was not meant to fill but to prepare the ground for something more. The journey itself can be a powerful teacher. The wind whistled mournfully through the trees, as if echoing their unspoken fears. But isn't it hard to believe when we are caught in the midst of our storms? The disciple pressed. When we cry out for answers and find only more questions, John replied softly, the journey of faith is often paved with questions that lead us closer to the truth that is, by its nature, complex and layered. Just as a seed must break through the hard shell to sprout, we too must wrestle with the uncertainties before us. In this wrestling, we uncover the roots of our spirit. Lightning flashed again, a stark reminder of the divine presence that surged through the storm. The disciples flinched at the brightness, yet John forth put. In that flash, we see not just danger, but clarity. In our moments of confusion, it is in the light, however fleeting, that we begin to piece together our understanding. Each bolt of lightning serves as a reminder that the power of God's revelation resides not just in the calm but within our tempests. The rain began to recede, transforming into a patter, each drop a fleeting note in a larger symphony that spoke of both grief and grace. John felt a shift in the atmosphere, a quiet resolve starting to blossom within their midst. Let us remember this moment as a witness to resilience, he said. For these trials refine us, molding our spirits to carry the burdens of others, forging connections that bind us even in our darkest nights. And as they stood together, feeling the damp earth beneath their feet, John contemplated the larger tapestry of their lives. What if, he suggested, the deepest revelations are those that arise not from answered prayers but from the courage to ask the questions? In that case, might we find solace not in having clear paths laid out before us but in walking together through the fog of uncertainty? As the clouds parted just enough to let a ray of sunlight pierce through, their faces illuminated, John realized that they had grasped something profound about their collective journey. This light, however small amidst the shadows, rekindled hope. Can we trust in the mystery of our faith, John asked softly, to guide us through our storms, and to remind us that even in confusion, we are not alone? Might those questions and the light that emerges from them create a new path for understanding in the hearts of all who seek? As the sunlight gently filtered through the dissipating clouds, the air grew heavy with the fragrance of damp earth and blooming life. The calm that followed the storm seemed almost sacred, as if nature itself held its breath in reverence. The disciples felt a renewed sense of purpose, a glimmer of hope ignited by John's reflections, yet, amidst the relief, a lingering tension filled the space between them. What of the voices that remain unheard? Andrew spoke up, breaking the silence that had settled like a soft cloak around their shoulders. Those who lose faith not in the storms but in the moments when the light appears fleeting. How do we reach them? John considered this question, remembering countless faces that had crossed his path, those who had whispered doubts under their breath, their eyes dulled by disappointment. It seems, he replied slowly, that each renewal brings with it the responsibility to share our light with those who dwell in darkness. Our faith must not only be an inward journey but also a beacon for others. But how do we become that beacon? Asked Matthew, his brow furrowed in contemplation. In times of uncertainty, our words can feel fragile, as if they will shatter under the weight of others' despair. Matthew, John said thoughtfully, the fragility of our words mirrors the vulnerability of our souls. It is in the honesty of our doubts and our struggles that we relate to one another, that we show the power of vulnerability. Perhaps it is not the staunch certainty of our faith that draws others closer but the authenticity of our experiences. As John's words lingered in the humid air, James spoke up. And what of the revelations we seek? What if we lay bare our struggles and yet find only more questions? Will that lead us astray or into deeper understanding? John smiled gently, recognizing the weight of this inquiry. It is a profound irony, isn't it? In our quest for clarity, we often uncover more mysteries. Each revelation can lead us deeper into the labyrinth of faith, challenging us to embrace the complexity instead of shunning it. Perhaps the journey itself carries the gift of revelation. As he spoke, a whisper of wind rustled the leaves overhead. The gentle rustle seemed to carry a message from the divine, echoing John's sentiment. Let us not fear the unknown, he added, but instead lean into it. For in our exploration of faith, we may find that the greatest revelations are those we least expect. The disciples stood in continued contemplation, their minds swirling with the interconnectedness of struggle and understanding. They were drawn deeper into the essence of what it meant to walk together, to find strength in unity amid uncertainty. How do we cultivate this strength? Simon asked, the fervor in his eyes igniting a fire among them. How do we nurture faith in ourselves and others when the path seems so obscure? There is beauty in the act of gathering, John replied, for it is in community that we share our light and our burden. When we unite our voices, we create a chorus that echoes far beyond our individual struggles. We become a collective testimony to the resilience of the spirit. As twilight began to cloak the horizon, a hush fell over them again. Each disciple sensed the pull of the bigger picture, yet the dimensions of that picture remained just out of reach, shrouded in a mist of mysteries to be explored. Perhaps they were not meant to find quick answers but to delve into the questions that ignited the search for understanding. Is it possible, John finally mused aloud, that the revelations we seek are woven not just in our successes but in our vulnerabilities and our shared hardships? Can we embark on this journey together, trusting in the unfolding tapestry of faith, love, and discovery? With that, the evening turned solemn as they each pondered the weight of those words, a challenging invitation to embrace the nebulous nature of their path ahead. They realized that perhaps they were just beginning to glimpse the fabric of a greater truth, one stitched together by shared struggles and illuminating questions. The deeper they ventured, the more intricate the revelation might become. What secrets might the night sky hold, waiting for them to unravel as they continued forging through the darkness together, hand in hand? As the stars began to twinkle in the deepening sky, a blanket of silence enveloped the disciples, casting them into a contemplative state beneath the vastness of creation. Each flicker of the celestial bodies felt like a whisper from the heavens, stirring within them a desire to understand the infinite. The quiet intensity of the moment prompted John to glance upward, where constellations danced as if recounting tales of old. What do you think they were trying to convey? He wondered aloud, pointing towards the brilliant cluster of stars that glimmered overhead, each one a story, a promise. Do they not testify to the glory beyond our understanding? Peter, ever the practical one, chuckled softly, sensing John's reverence. Perhaps, but they do not bring warmth on a cold night, nor do they provide answers to our questions. We look for clarity where shadows reign, Andrew interjected, yet, in the blindness of night, we seek not just for the absence of shadows but for deeper truths that emerge in the context of our struggles. Those stars remind us that even in darkness, light exists, perhaps just out of our view. Their conversation drifted like the wind, carrying aspirations and fears alike. Each disciple was wrestling with their own understanding of faith's fabric, an intricate weave made not just of certainty but also of doubt, loss, and the hope for revelation. John observed their faces, illuminated by the soft glow of the moon, and felt a swelling within him. What if our questions are indeed part of an unfolding story? He proposed intriguingly. What if they guide us closer to the mysteries we long to unlock? The divine timeline may not be rigid but fluid, shaped by our experiences and our willingness to seek together. Do we dare, James asked hesitantly, to redefine our concept of time? Are we ready to explore the idea that the unfolding of faith takes place not just in the grand moments but in the quiet, mundane instances of life? Indeed, John replied, heartened by James' insight. Each step we take on this path, each moment of vulnerability, contributes to what lies ahead. Perhaps, then, we are all pilgrims, navigating through a landscape rich with both shadows and light, where our shared experiences do not merely exist in isolation but bond us across time and space. With this thought echoing in the cool night air, the disciples fell silent once again, each immersed in contemplation. It was Simon who broke the stillness, his voice firm yet filled with wonder. So, if we are to embrace each question and struggle, what if the battles we face now will echo in future generations? What if those who come after us look to our journey for their own understanding? And what if, Peter added, warming to the theme, those answers are not merely for them but also for us? Each challenge is not simply a test of faith but an invitation to grow, to reshape our understanding of both ourselves and the divine. Could each moment of surrender deepen our connection to this sacred story we are part of? As these thoughts spiraled in the coolness of the night, the disciples began to stir, motivated by a quiet resolve. If their personal revelations interconnected with a wider human narrative, then perhaps each testimony held the potential to shape the spiritual landscape for those who followed. Could it be, they wondered, that the greatest revelations awaited in the humility of their shared struggles? Even in uncertainty, there existed a tapestry they were destined to weave together, one that would inspire and enlighten as it unfolded. Yet, for every insight they gained, questions remained lingering, enticing, tantalizing. What if the true essence of their faith lay not in possessing answers but in the sacred act of seeking together? And as they ventured forth, hand in hand, deeper in exploration, what hidden truths awaited them? shimmering just beyond the edges of their understanding. As the night deepened, John felt the electric charge of the air wrap around him, intertwining his spirit with the very fabric of creation. Shadows flickered against the stone walls of their temporary refuge, capturing the essence of their unspoken fears and hopes. It was in this sacred moment, amid the embrace of darkness and the promise of dawn, that a revelation began to stir in John's heart, one that was destined to alter the course of their lives and echo through time. The disciples gathered closer, their breaths holding the weight of anticipation as the storm clouds finally rolled back to reveal a vast expanse of stars, twinkling like eyes peering down upon them. John raised his gaze to the sky, feeling a connection to the cosmos unveil before him, a reminder that he was but a single thread in a grand tapestry woven by divine hands. What if, John began, his voice trembling with conviction, this very moment holds the truth we seek. A truth not just for us but for all humanity, a truth woven through every thread of existence. The disciples turned their eyes upon him, captivated by the fervor of his spirit. Master, Thomas asked, his brow furrowed with curiosity, what is this truth you speak of? Can we grasp it, can we become it? The question echoed in the air, reverberating through the hearts of all present. John, feeling the weight of their collective longing, leaned forward, his heart racing with the urgency of his revelation. It is a message of love, a love that transcends judgment and fear, interlaces through despair and hope. This love is not a passive force, it is a call to action, a catalyst that can ignite change in the hearts burdened by doubt and despair. But how can we convey such profound love in the face of trials and tribulations? Simon interjected, wrestling with the tension that gripped their souls. By living as witnesses to what we believe, John replied, a fire igniting within his eyes. We do not need to have all the answers. Our journey through questions and uncertainty is in itself a testament to the resilience of faith. We are called to embody compassion, to reach out in kindness amidst the chaos. It is in loving others that we reflect the divine light in a world swallowed by darkness. At that moment, a quiet understanding began to unfold among the disciples. They were bound not just by their fears but by the hope shared through the authenticity of their struggles. In one another, they found solace and strength, they found a community built upon love and the courage to face the unknown together. John continued, his voice steady and empowering. To speak of love becomes the unbreakable bond that binds us across time. Each act of kindness, each moment of support we offer, does not just push back the shadows, it strengthens the fabric of faith for generations to come. The air thickened with a palpable energy, and as the quiet night enveloped them, they felt a weight being lifted, a burden of isolation and fear dissipating like mist. Imagine the generations that will come after us, John said, his heart soaring with hope. If we can weave this message of love into the very essence of our interactions, we shall plant seeds of hope in hearts that may not yet comprehend their potential. In that serendipitous moment under the starlit sky, the disciples began to see the depth of their shared purpose. They were not simply recipients of divine revelations but active participants, shaping the future through their choices and actions grounded in love. As dawn approached, a gentle light unfurled on the horizon, illuminating the clouds with hues of orange and gold. John felt the warmth of the morning sun on his face. It was a promise of renewal, a herald of transformation. The darkness that lingers does not define us, he spoke softly, nor does it extinguish the light within us. It can only propel us toward understanding, growth, and a deeper awareness of our connectedness. With the first rays of sunlight flooding their surroundings, the disciples felt a profound sense of purpose arise within them. Every question, every struggle, even the unshakable doubts, became threads in a rich tapestry of faith, intricately woven together through their collective journey. Together, Simon declared, a newfound confidence lacing his voice, we will share this love, not just with our words but through our actions. We will stand as a testament to the power of resilience and hope in a world that often feels hopeless. As the dawn fully broke, casting a stunning panorama of vivid colors across the sky, John realized that they were indeed at a turning point, not just for themselves but for countless souls who would hear their stories and experience their love. In that moment, a profound revelation solidified within John's heart. Our truth lies in community. Within the vulnerability that binds us, we discover the strength to endure. Each of us is a vital part of the narrative, their faith rooted not merely in understanding but in shared experience, and as they stood together, bathed in the warmth of the nascent day, they became emissaries of that true the collective embodiment of love in action, ready to face the world's challenges with renewed courage and a spirit unfettered by fear. They understood that, indeed, their journey was just beginning, and together, they would transform the narrative, instilling faith where once despair threatened to prevail. As the sun rose higher, illuminating not only the land but their hearts, they made a silent vow to carry forth the message of love that had been revealed to them, ensuring that echo would resonate through time, igniting hope in the hearts of all who would follow. In unity, they found their purpose. In love, they discovered the essence of their faith, a faith that could overcome any darkness.